Hey everyone, welcome back. In this video I'm going to install my inverter and my AC breaker panel, and then I'm going to get to working on my cabinets. I'm going to build some doors for the upper cabinets and kind of go from there. So I'm almost ready to move into this thing. The van build is far from over. I have plenty of stuff to do, and I have some really cool stuff in the works in the coming months that I think you guys are going to really like to see. But for now, I'm just going to finish up everything that I can to get the interior of the van done in the back so I can move into this thing and start, getting it dialed in and start enjoying my van. So today it's this AC breaker panel. My friend Tom, he built this custom box for it. This Blue Sea Systems breaker panel did not come with the box. I don't really know why. I guess it's just intended to be mounted to a wall or something. But yeah, he 3D printed me out a sweet box for this thing with cable entries all over it. And the big challenge with this is it's just such a tiny little compact box that I'm gonna really struggle to cram all the circuits into this thing. I'm using 12 gauge wire, and it's just extension cord, so at least it's real flexible, so that's going to help me a lot. And coming in from the inverter to this box, doing 8 gauge, and this was actually a 4-wire cord, and I dissected it, removed the red one, and then put a new jacket on it, so it's just black, white, and green. 10 gauge probably would have been okay, but this is a 3,000 watt inverter, and it's got a 10-second surge power of 9,000 watts, so it's about 30 amps, give or take. 8 gauge, the terminal lugs on this can do 8, I checked. So the reason this inverter is so huge is because it's an inverter charger. It has the inverter and a built-in battery charger. So all you have to do to charge your batteries is hook up power to it, like shore power. And on the side of it, over here, there's AC input and AC output. So these go to my breaker panel for all the circuits in the van. And this is what goes into what comes in from the shore power. And then on the inverter, there's a dial for charging current. So if you turn it all the way counterclockwise, it's 45 amps, and if you turn it all the way clockwise, it goes down to 5 amps of charge for the battery. And I believe that's just for if you find yourself tripping breakers at, say a campground or whatever outlet coming off of a house or a building or something that you're trying to get your shore power from, you can dial it down a little bit. And I have an 1800 watt generator. So if I go to use that generator and for some reason it's not putting out enough power for this thing, I can dial this down a little and still be able to charge my batteries with it. Hopefully I, can just rely on my solar and my DC to DC for the most part, but I wanted to just have an inverter charger so it'd be all integrated. Originally I thought for some reason, because I never even took the time to inspect this thing and figure out how it works until recently, but I thought that for some reason that it would just auto sense shore power and they all hook together, but that's not the case. So it's still good that I'm switching my shore power plug on the van. That way I can be inside the van when it kicks on to make sure everything's working properly. But it does have its own separate input for shore power, which makes a lot of sense. A lot more sense than what I was thinking for some reason. It also has eco mode and normal mode. And there's a switch here, but there's also that inverter controller that plugs in right here. So I can just control it from up there on the panel. And eco mode, basically, it does not power on the inverter until it actually senses an amperage draw on your AC circuits. which really there's always going to be, because like my camera server and my router and all that, which people have mentioned. Yes, I can figure out a clever way to wire those DC direct, because they just have basically transformers on their power cords too. Same with my laptop, but my laptop is it's got like a 200 watt charger on it. But the inverter primarily is for my induction cooktop and my water heater, and I also mentioned that I'm going to be putting a air compressor in the van, and I think I'm gonna just go ahead and get I already have one, just put a regular 120 volt AC compressor back there, because all the affordable DC air compressors on Amazon are pretty sketchy in quality, and I think if I spend a couple $100 on one of those, it's probably gonna just break on me one day. And as often as I'll have the compressor back there running, I'll just get a regular one, because I do have an outlet in the garage back there. And then a few other things. Right here is a little switch for battery type. It's already preset to lithium iron phosphate, but for the charger in it, you can select your battery type. It has this little card that was tethered to it that tells you all of this stuff. And then there's dip switches on the left right here. And these, I don't fully understand one of them. So we have grid inverter priority. Set 0 to grid first, set 1 to inverter battery first. And that's the only one that I don't really understand. So I guess I'm just gonna have to play around with that and see basically what that does, or just read the manual. There's always that. So and then over here this is where the battery hooks up to it, and I'm gonna pretty much install this thing like backwards under my cabinet, where all this script and these lights and crap are going to be kind of upside down if you're looking at it, but I'm never really going to be looking at it. But it makes more sense to have it flipped around, because my battery cable will be on the right, which is kind of where I need it to be, and then my AC will be on the left, which is where I need that to be. And then it does have a fan. It has 2 fans, actually. If you look at these DC fans, if you see the bones that mount the fan, that is the output direction generally. So I do believe it's going to be blowing air this direction through the inverter. And what I'm going to do is over here in the van, because I believe that inverter is really going to be the thing that produces the most heat in my power system. So what I'm planning on doing is right down here, I'm just going to cut a vent into the side of this cabinet and just put a nice decorative grill, probably a black one. That way it can breathe, So it'll pull air in from under the desk, like over by where the batteries are, and just blow it out right there by the door. So that's the plan. And then for my AC breaker panel, like I said, it's just going to be a challenge to fit everything in here. And I'm probably going to end up using ring terminals for the ends of the wires, and I'll show you here in a second. Just the way that this is set up, everything's a screw. So, that's kind of the plan on that. And another thing, I used extension cord for all my circuits, which was just an affordable way to do it. And I did use 12 gauge, but here's the problem with this extension cord. It's just not, it doesn't have a great temperature rating, 60 Celsius is the temp rating on this stuff, which isn't that great. It's going to be perfectly fine. I'm not worried about it. It would be smart, to get something a little nicer than that for the shore power. But I do not have a 30 amp service on the van. My shore power is just a 15 amp the inverter charges at 45 amps. And I do believe when you do hook it to shore power, it just switches the input over to your AC panels. So I think really the highest amperage draw thing in the entire van on the AC circuit at any point will be my induction cooktop, which is 1800 watts, which is right on the cusp of 15 amp breaker. So I know it'll be fine from experience, like it ain't gonna trip the breaker all the time. But anyway, if you're doing this, yeah, you can save a bunch of money using extension cord. And I mentioned that the orange cord is like way cheaper for some reason than some of the other ones that are 12 gauge, mostly because it's orange. But I do believe that maybe some of those more expensive 12 gauge extension cords that you can buy probably have a higher temp rating, because they have a nicer, jacket on them. So you can buy, stranded actual AC wire, but it's quite a bit more expensive than what I did here with this stuff. So just so you know, I went total overkill with all my battery cable and DC wiring, and then I totally skimped out on my AC stuff. And fun fact, if you have a house that was built before like the 1990s, all the wiring in your walls isn't going to be rated any higher than like 60C, and it's probably thicker, like the insulation on it's quite a bit thicker than modern wiring, but modern wiring has better material for the insulation of the wire, so it's got a higher temperature rating, like 90 Celsius. So on this breaker panel, as you can see, this is where your circuit loads hook up. That's why I'm using ring terminals. And then this is the line bar. So my line hooks up here from the inverter, and all my black wires from my circuits hook up on this side of the breakers. And then they have these little LEDs that illuminate if the breaker's tripped or if the breaker's on. I'm not sure yet, but those are 120 volt AC LEDs. And what's really strange about this panel is they also have LEDs here to light up the labels, like what the breaker does. And it came with labels, but my friend Tom made me some custom labels. He actually printed out and engraved labels for this. Like, he did a freaking amazing job with this panel. Kind of went all out. The strangest thing about these LEDs, however, is these are DC. It's weird. I don't know why, but they have their own DC power, which he went ahead and ran me some leads for them and put a cable gland just for that. And I'm never really gonna see these. They're just gonna be under the cabinet, and they're really kind of pointless, but I'm gonna go ahead and power them up anyway. But what I'm gonna do, because I could just run these to the power, like going to the inverter off the bus bars, but then I'd have a unnecessary parasitic draw on the batteries at all times. Which actually, my ceiling light dimmer switch has a little red glow around it, like a light ring, which draws like 1 watt. And it's, unnecessary parasitic draw, but with how much battery I got, it's really no big deal. But what I'm gonna do is go ahead and power these LEDs on the panel accessory switch, the one up there for the USB chargers and the panel fans. That way they're not always on, but if for some reason I just want to look at them, they can turn on with the panel accessories. That way I'm not like running a whole separate switch for these, or it's kind of pointless. But So, and then if you look at this, we have our neutral wire bar and our common bar, or, you know, it's a bus bar basically. So coming into the panel on the left, we have all the black wires for each circuit coming in on the left, and then the black wire coming in from the inverter right here, the white wire from the inverter here, the green wire here. And then on my circuits, my extension cord wires, all of the greens go here and all the whites go there. And I'm going to use ring terminals for all of them. Non-insulated ones, I'm just gonna, you know, I got the, like I said, they're Molex brand, the ones that I got. I got them from, that's what this whole assortment here is. But they're from my local HVAC supplier, you know, they're Molex, but, so anyway, that's the plan. Step 1 is to mount this box to the wall. Step 2 is to run the wires in everywhere. And it's gonna be a struggle because I really didn't allow enough slack in my like extra wire to play with. The box is plenty deep. He made it about 3 inches deep, so it's not gonna be an issue for like fitting them in here. But actually wiring them to this panel, I'm gonna be like working in a real tight little space. So I'm just gonna kind of throw that on time lapse real quick and just get it done. And then we can move on to, you know, the important thing, which is installing that inverter. And one of these breakers is going to be for the outlet that I intend on installing up in the cab. I haven't ran my conduit that I mentioned for the DC charger and that outlet and the power for my fridge yet. That's gonna go under the van from this cabinet over to the cab. But I am gonna go ahead and just install the wire in here and just have it hanging off of this, so I don't have to like mess with it again when I go to do those things. So. I'm installing these labels that my friend made. Look at this. They're like a two-piece transparent and then or translucent and then like a textured outer. Pretty sweet. And they fit in there nice, but to keep them on, I'm putting the tiniest little dot of super glue on the sides. And since he made these so nice, I gotta light them up, you know? This was the most difficult frickin' panel install in all of history, probably. And now is when I'll find out that it won't fit in the box. Well, that was a pain in the ass. And no matter how much I smashed and tweaked the wires, the box just wasn't deep enough. But I'm not giving up on it, I never do. My friend Tom can help me out make a deeper box or extend it, which is okay. My advice for you though is to find somewhere in your van where you can fit a standard like house breaker panel. Not only is there plenty of room to work in those, but they also, the cover comes off, so you can wire everything up and then put the cover on, which makes it 100 times easier. As neat as that breaker panel is, it's kind of a pain in the butt, and I don't really like it at this point. It's funky, it's weird, and it's inconvenient. I'm not really sure why it's designed the way that it is, but you know, I'll make it work either way. I've already invested money and time into this, so it's gonna happen. I do have it installed to the point where I can continue on and get the inverter installed, but I will be modifying that. So I did shop around a lot for AC breaker panels before I bought that. And I didn't like the fact that they were all so big because I have such a limited amount of room that I'm trying to fit this whole electrical system in. But the smallest one you can get is, it's 2 like 2 slots, but you can put 2 double breakers in it for 4 circuits. And every brand makes it, like Eaton and Siemens and all that, and Square D or whatever. But they're like 11 by 9 or so is the smallest size like you can get anywhere. And that is a 5 breaker 8 position panel, so it's got a lot more expandability to it. But I couldn't fit more wires in that box if I wanted to. So yeah, it is what it is. I will make it work and make it as safe as I can, you know. There's my advice for you is just go with the regular AC breaker panel for a house, you know. All right, the next step is to go stick the inverter in there and then figure out how to cram more of that 1/0 gauge battery cable in there and just fit more things into a tight space. And I'll get those cables made, and then I'll wire up the AC and the DC to the inverter. And then I can move on to finishing the DC circuitry. I just have the water pump, that exterior outlet. That's about it, I think, at the moment anyway. Then I can test the inverter, see if that works, see if it'll charge my batteries, all that good stuff. It would be insane to consider mounting this to a wall with these thin metal channels that are on it. This thing weighs probably 80 pounds, at least. I've decided I am doing AC on the left, DC on the right. And it is a tight fit, for sure. Okay, I hope I don't cut these too short or change my mind on placement. I really can't get you in here to see what I'm doing. There's just no room for a camera. There's barely room for my hands. But it's very obvious how to hook it up. It says right on it. Input is shore power. Output is this stuff, which I am cutting this way down. And on the inverter, there is a lug for like a ground, like a safety ground, and there's also one on the charge controller as well. And I could either tie those into the neutral wire from my shore power, or run them down and tie them onto the frame of the vehicle, which I believe is what they're intended to be, what you're supposed to do with. I'll read up on that, but it's just kind of a safety, you know, lightning strike kind of situation. But the inverter and the charge controller do have those like safety grounds on them. So I may or may not hook them up. If I do, I'm going to get some like 8 gauge green wire or something to do it with. But yeah, I'm going to hook this up and then we'll start working on making these battery cables, which isn't going to be too bad, but the positive, because that large fuse and the way that it has to run is going to be kind of challenging. Yeah, it says right there, metal frame of an RV and 12 gauge for that grounding lug. Also, I got a comment about the fuses and wire size and stuff that I used. It says right there, 1.0 350 to 400 amp fuse. Alright, everything's hooked up except for the DC battery cable. So I gotta figure that out now. Probably end up moving this fuse, make more holes in the plywood. That's okay. So the ground is probably gonna end up coming up and then over to the left of the fuse and then straight up right here to right there. The positive is probably going to come out this way and then up to here. And then this top one is going to have to come up, and here's the shitty part. It's going to have to kind of jump across this board and then run up right there. Which, I mean, it's okay. It won't be that bad, but I think I might do the ground first because that'll be easier. Get that out of the way and then deal with all of this. So there's these big plastic covers, and I don't like the way it's gonna look, but I am gonna have the negative come up the top. Otherwise, it can either go straight down or this way, which wouldn't look great. And then the positive is gonna go out that way, I believe. Alright, I'm going to grab some wire and mock it up, make some cables, and then I'll show you. Alright everyone, I got my cables installed. I haven't strapped them down and made them pretty yet. But I just turned on my shore power for the first time, just to see what would happen. And it's charging at 42 amps and 570 or so watts. So that's cool. And the inverter charger, inverter controller, I mean, it's got a little indicator thing on it, a little picture of a light bulb and crap, you know. I also turned on my inverter just to see what would happen. I have all the breakers off still. I haven't powered any of my circuits. And when the inverter was on before I turned on the actual battery charger, it was completely silent. There was no fans or anything going, but right now it's charging my batteries, so that's cool. And I'm using my it's a 12 gauge, but it's, you know, wonky taped up beat up extension cord here in the shop, the one I just used for all my power tools and stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna grab, if I can find it, I have a clamp meter, and see what kind of amperage the charger, which is on full power right now, draws from the actual shore power circuit, like the AC circuit. I wouldn't imagine it'd be that much. Anyway, I'm going to be doing some testing here and then button up my wiring. I have some nice clamps to put on it, and then I gotta actually screw or bolt the inverter to the floor so it can't move around. But what I did here is I got my negative going down like that, and then it kind of goes along the floor and then up to the bus bar. Then the positive is just like I described, just a little short piece there to the fuse, and then it kind of runs over across this board and then up to the positive. And then this part right here is kind of the least attractive looking part of this whole setup down here, but I mean, it's not too bad. So I'm gonna let this charge my batteries for a while. I want to get my batteries fully charged, but it keeps being like below freezing at night, so I can't just leave my solar on. I don't want to damage these batteries. And then I have to wire up my water pump with one of these relays, which I'll explain these to you. So if you put relays in your van, I'll explain how they wire up and stuff. I've done several of those on cars, and then that exterior outlet there, and just the power for these lights in the breaker panel. And then everything I have installed in the van will be wired at that point. So, alright, I was just charging my phone. Works great. It was fast charging because it's power delivery. I'm going to try some circuits now. Exterior. And I believe that is the bottom switch. And I have this outlet tester here, so it's good. And we got garage, which is this outlet and the one in the back. That's good. Galley. Oh, I heard a beep. Ooh, we got cooktop. I don't think it turns on unless you have like a metal pan on it. The fan's running on it now. That's cool. Sweet. I've got that coffee maker. I have a little crock pot, and I have a electric tea kettle. No, that's what I plan on using that for. So cool. I'm not turning on the water heater until I have it full of water. Never turn on an electric water heater unless it's full of water, or you'll fry the element right away. And then I can't turn this one on either because, you know, boom. So everything is working. It's hitting like 600 something watts occasionally, so batteries should charge up pretty fast with this. Charge controller up here just telling me that I got one little bar left to go, and then this is doesn't really tell me a whole lot, honestly. I mean, as far as that goes, tells me all kinds of stuff actually. Input voltage, frequency. Alright, I've been tinkering on the van for a couple hours and letting my battery charge, and the charger shut off and told me my batteries were full. So I programmed the monitor and put in my correct amp hours and battery voltage and all of that. So now it will tell me my real capacity. So that's all good to go. Now with the inverter off and just my ceiling lights on pretty much, and then, you know, this and that, it's showing that I have 0.93 amp draw or 12.4 watt draw on it. When I turn the inverter on to eco mode, because I have shore power on right now, somehow it has like a little trickle charger going on right now. So it's just maintaining my battery at full voltage with it zeroes out the amperage draw from the lights. It's kind of neat. I'm really impressed with this charger too, by the way. I've been monitoring it the whole time. The fan runs when it's like fully charging, and like no heat comes out of it at all. What I'm gonna do right now is secure the battery cables and that to the wall, secure this to the floor, and then I got a few more things to wire up. This, which is the lights for this panel, and I got to put some tape on these two so I don't accidentally turn them on. And then I need to wire up the water pump, but I don't think I'm going to do that in this video. I've got something else going on, which I'll talk about in a minute. So the next thing I'm going to do to the van is build cabinet doors. But I got the opportunity to take this Friday off, and I've decided it's time. I don't have a diesel heater, I don't have plumbing yet, I don't have a gray water tank or my shower hooked up or any of that. 2 of my tires need to be replaced at the very minimum. But I have a bed and I have power. I'm taking the van camping. And that's what the next video is going to be. I'm going out Thursday and Friday night. So to get ready, I've been kind of cleaning the van and organizing my camping stuff. And I got some more Reflectix. I was on Amazon looking at RV window shades, and it was like 42 bucks for one for this back window. So I bought a whole roll of Reflectix for less than that. I already made one for the kitchen window because I did my Buick and had some extra. But I'm gonna go ahead and make one for this back window. And then I've decided to just temporarily wire up my fridge. That way I don't have to buy ice and put my cooler in here. So I'm just gonna run some wire up to the fridge from the fuse box and kind of tape it to the floor or something. But I'm really excited to take the van out for the very first time. It'll be kind of like the sea trials. So I'm basically gonna just smash it up into the window opening and then cut it, you know. That's kind of how I did my Buick, and they all pretty much turned out perfect. You can get this in 2 foot wide, 4 foot wide, or like 16 inches in width by 25 foot. And the 4 foot wide stuff would have been great for the windshield. But it's like 50 something bucks. This is like 30 bucks. And then the little tiny roll is like 20 bucks. So this stuff's actually not very cheap, considerably. But, I mean, I already have an RV cover, or RV window cover for the cab. But that goes on the outside. And I really like that thing. But if it's like super windy out, or say I'm running to like Walmart or something, and it's a hot day, you know, and I want to put some Reflectix up in my windows, I'm gonna go ahead and make some for the cab too, is what I'm saying. And I might make some for the RV door. That would be very easy to do, but I wouldn't be able to take it off without opening the whole door, because that's the only way to open the screen door to get to the window. But I mean, I got plenty of this stuff now, so I might as well make some for everything. And I do intend on putting some sort of curtain across the opening to the cab, just for a quick privacy deal. So I'm gonna have a shower curtain hanging there to the left of my shoe cabinet. And then I could just have a curtain run across the whole opening for that too, you know. But we'll get to all that eventually. But for now, since I'm going out the day after tomorrow, I need something over this window because I don't want to be sleeping next to an open window, even though I do plan on being in the middle of nowhere. You know what? I just had an idea. I have the like trim ring for this window. I could use that. And that would be like perfect. I'm just gonna go lay this out on the floor and use that to cut it with. I almost threw this away too. Glad I didn't. The question is, do I go on the inside or the outside? I'm gonna go put this up in the van real quick and see if it's a little bit bigger in the opening of the window, then I'll go on the inside. Because if I cut on the outside, it might be too big. So it's actually kind of like in the middle. So I'm gonna trace on the inside, but cut like a 1/2 inch bigger than what I trace, I think. It's kind of the idea. And I cannot see this Sharpie line at all. That ain't gonna do nothing for me. Yeah, that disappeared. Okay. All right, I'm just gonna cut on the outside and then use my scissors to trim it a little bit. Before I put Reflectix in my Buick, I thought it was like stupid because it's just bubble wrap and foil. I was like, this shit has no R value, you know? Like an actual blanket would be better. But oh no, it keeps my Buick warm, really warm. It made a huge difference. I mean, I guess anything's better than just having all those windows, but... Okay, I'm just gonna go fit this and then see if I need to trim it. I'm pretty sure I will. It's like way too big, but... Okay. Yeah, that's like way too big. So... I guess I'll just cut it in here. I'm just gonna take... We'll start small. Take 1/2 inch off all the way around. Hope it's not windy. It's not gonna be like warm. I mean, it's gonna be decent, like 60s, and then right around 40 at night, upper 30s. But if it's not windy, I'm gonna use my awning too. I haven't unrolled that awning since I installed it, you know? It's probably all full of dirt. Alright, so I gotta take a little bit off long ways, but it's getting pretty close. I mean, you know, the long side is still too long, it's still too wide. There we go. What I gotta do now is trim it around the, like the latch. All right. Now I got privacy, and I already kind of had this one. It just All right, so my fridge came with a AC to DC like power adapter, and then it also came with this guy. And this is actually 16 gauge wire, which sure. But I'm gonna run some 12 gauge off the fuse panel for this. That was the plan. I guess I don't really need to, but it's not long enough to get to the fuse panel unless I turn the fridge around. But either way, what I'm thinking is just to kind of tape some wire down here on the entryway just for now. This is temporary, obviously, but I'd like to just power it on and see if it works. So I think I'm gonna go ahead and just snip that off, you know, unless I do that, but or plug it into the dash, but I don't want it running off the van battery. Also, both of these wires are black, and it doesn't really say which one's positive on it. So I might have to like dissect this plug, or I'll look at the back of the fridge too, just to be sure. Like it doesn't say on there, but yeah, this shouldn't be too hard to take apart. I mean, I hate to mutilate my fridge immediately, but I always intended on hardwiring this in. And I don't want it running on a switch because I don't want to accidentally shut my fridge off and have my food go bad, you know. But I'm pretty sure it's gonna draw a low enough like amount of power where like it's never gonna be an issue to leave it on all the time. I'm gonna grab the manual on it just for shits, just to see how much power it does draw. Then I can kind of get an idea of what fuse I want to use too. So I was just looking at the where it plugs into the fridge, the cord, I mean, and it has a fuse right there. There's a 15 amp blade fuse right in the fridge. I'm of course going to fuse the wire running to the fridge, especially since I'm just taping it to the floor for now, but I'll just go ahead and throw a 15 on it. Oh, it says right here. Rated current for DC, 5 amps at 12 volts. Sweet. So yeah, this ain't gonna draw much power at all. I could probably just run some 14 up, you know. Maybe I'll do that for now. When I go to actually hardwire it in, I'll run 12. I bought a new extension cord just for the van. It's a 12 gauge outdoor high vis, and it lights up on the end too. And it's supposed to stay flexible even when it's cold. Okay, I need to dissect this plug. It's probably glued together. I'm probably gonna make a mess out of this. Oh, it comes apart. It pops apart. Okay. All right, so the wire with the writing on it is the positive. Got it. And actually, how much? I don't have a ton of 14 left. That's pretty long. I don't need it to be that long though. But I'll go ahead and connect them here on the bench, and then I'll take the other end, get it in the van, get it all taped to the floor, and then I'll trim it and put it on the fuse panel. And we'll just use some butt connectors and heat shrink for now. So yeah, I'm going out Thursday and Friday night. The place I'm going to, it's a Natural Resources District Wildlife Management Area. And it's super primitive. There's no amenities at all. It's free. It's gonna be a Thursday night, so nobody should be there. It's in the middle of nowhere. There's like 8 miles of gravel roads to get to it from the highway. And they have 3 like camp spots, that's it. And they're pull up like RV spots, but no power, no water, none of that. Thursday night low is supposed to be 38, and then like 65 on Friday, and then Friday night's low is like 40, 42, something like that. So it's gonna be perfect. I won't need heat. It would be cool to use my wood stove, but I don't think it's gonna be that cold, you know. I think I'm gonna wait till morning to, it's 9:30 right now on Tuesday night. So I think I will wait till tomorrow morning to kick the fridge on. Cause it's gonna be 30s tonight too, and there's no food in the fridge, so it'd be kind of pointless to just have it running for no reason, draining my battery. I can let nature cool the fridge down. Did I do it right? Is this the one with the writing on it? Yes, okay. Okay. All right. Grab some ring terminals and go put this in the van. This is temporary. Don't judge me. Might as well test as much stuff on the van as I can, right? Since I'm taking it out. I'll test the fridge, I'll test the induction cooktop. My new coffee maker. I even have an electric teapot. Or electric kettle is, you know, it's referred to. I have a little tiny collapsible silicone one that I bought just for the van. So I can make tea. You know, I like my tea. All right, power's on, so I gotta be kind of careful here. We're just gonna kind of run it back over here. This is all temporary. We're just having fun. And we'll just put it on the left. Come here, screw. Stop screwing around. And I'll just put it down on the bottom for now. I bet it makes the little light up. Yep. Ha! Wonder how that works. There must be something on the other end of the wire, like in the fridge, that has some resistance or something. I don't know. Whatever. All right, I think I'm gonna stick a fuse in just for now, just to see the fridge turn on, because that'd be kind of neat, right? I heard a beep. Okay. Oh, wow. Is that the current temperature? Oh, it just turned on. Okay, we got high, medium, low voltage. Oh wow, it has Bluetooth. What? That makes it the fanciest thing in the van. Other than, you know, you guys. Okay, -4, what? Alright, I'm gonna have to read the manual on this. It's a dual zone. So it's got freezer part, fridge part. Or that's fridge part, that's freezer part, or you can make it all fridge. Oh, I can already feel it getting cold. Neat. Alright, I'm gonna shut it off for now though. Cool. So this is the user manual, and it covers like every model that Alpacool makes. It lists like 50 different models here, and it says nothing at all anywhere about Bluetooth. So I'm gonna look into that, because there is a Bluetooth light that came on the fridge. So I'm assuming there's an app. Anyway, I am taking the van camping, and I'm really excited about that. If you watch my vlogs, or you've seen my pulling teeth video, then you know there's probably about a 90% chance that my work is gonna call me anyway. But you know what? Take what you can get. You know, the weather's gonna be decent, and boss said sure, take Friday off, whatever. So I'm doing it. Special thanks to Mitchell for joining my Patreon. I appreciate that. And yeah, the next video is going to be me testing the van, like everything. I'm going to cook on that induction cooktop. I'm sleeping in this thing. I'm taking it to a campground. If it ain't windy, I'm opening up the awning and chilling underneath it, and we'll see how well the power system holds up with actual use. And I'll use my solar, and I'll have my laptop in here and all that stuff. I'm really, really excited for this. This has been a long time coming. The van build is far from over, so if that's, you know, if that's your thing, seeing me work on the van, don't worry, there's plenty more to come. So, but yeah, thank you guys for watching. I'm sorry this was a shorter video, but it's the only way I could really get something out this Saturday for you and go camping, because that's going to be a whole video of its own, and I'm really excited. Like I said, that's going to be a good video. And then I'll get back to working on the van. I'm going to build these cabinet doors and all of that. So anyway, thanks a lot, everyone. I will see you in the next one.